my final question is, in your short time in Singapore, what do you think are Singapore's strengths and weaknesses, or things that we need to do, or what are the pitfalls we need to be aware of when we try to introduce PLC into our schools?
Well, I've been very impressed with the people that work there. They're extraordinary, bright, articulate. They see connections very quickly. Some of the ideas that they're already developing are pretty exciting. I think one of the things to be careful of is that people don't see PLCs as something that you do. I think it would be helpful if teachers in Singapore understood that PLC is something that you are. You become. It's a culture change. And that may be the biggest challenge, is to not look at PLC as another thing to add on, but to look at a way to change the culture of our schools, to become more collaborative, to be more focused on working together to help all students learn. We don't want to create the idea that it's one more thing. PLC is something that you are. You're never finished with that work. You're constantly getting better. And when I've talked to the teachers and the educators here in Singapore this week, I've continually come back to that idea that professional learning communities, if you're going to embark on this journey, it's something that you're going to stay with, and it's going to become the overarching organizational the way you organize your schools. It's going to become what everything else plugs into and fits into. And honestly, people have been resonating with that idea that it just makes sense. It just makes sense to look at our schools this way, because there is already so many strengths in the Singapore system already in terms of clarity around what kids should know and be able to do, tremendous background knowledge around assessment practices, even though they may not realize it. So there's a lot of strength there to build on, and I think the opportunities are great to create a very powerful learning organization and a cultural shift around the professional learning communities model. I think it's a great opportunity in Singapore.
Your number one resource are your people, and they are incredibly bright and incredibly articulate and want to learn and are continuous learners. And what I've seen around strengths are also ability to communicate. And even though we think that we're maybe a quiet culture, more reserved, and maybe thinking of hierarchy before we speak, that may be true. And yet what I've noticed is that when the participants have engaged in the tools and the processes, and they've engaged in the conversations, they have been as active and as verbose and excited about the concepts and talking to one another and sharing and working collaboratively. They're doing the collaborative work. So I'm not sure that I would look at your culture as a strength and say, and we can even do more, that we can work in collaborative teams. And it'll take some leaders who have who help people experience it first, because they may not believe it and if you just talk about it. But if you'll start to do, and Tom has helped co-author the book Learning by Doing, but it's that idea that you don't necessarily change the people's beliefs, but if you start to work on practice, then beliefs start to follow practice. And so it will take leaders who will try to do these interactive processes and help people make sense and have shared meaning and really come together to come to consensus on certain elements that need to be in their environment. And so that kind of support that people will need, and some pressure along the way, will help with continuing on this journey.
Sure. Well, I think you've given some very encouraging words, and I also like what Tom said about PLCs as not something you do, but something that you are. You know, that it is a journey, that it becomes who you are. Being engaged in collaborative learning, being engaged in continually reflecting on what we do. I think that's a powerful concept that we need to promote to our colleagues, our teachers in Singapore. I think that's a powerful concept. Well, thank you once again.
And thank you for inviting us. It's been wonderful. We've enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Right. We'll see you again back in Singapore. Have more Chinese food.
Yeah, and then you come to Chicago, and we'll do that too.
We are honored and thank you for the opportunity.
I'll be honest with you, and really, this has been humbling. To think that a practitioner from Chicago, Illinois, gets to come over here and talk to people. And the Singapore system, you are very respected, almost envied. I mean, the performance of kids in Singapore has always been very, very strong. So for me, and I think I speak for Susan, I really do mean it. It's been a very humbling experience, and we've really appreciated the opportunity to come and talk to people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.